Happy Monday, everyone. Time for another live commentary. Today, we're taking a look at a round of 16 bout from Bonn. This one between Carlos Llavador and Richard Kruse. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Alright, now these two have fenced a couple times in the last couple years, and if you look at their results on FIE, they've actually been back and forth. One wins one, then the other wins the other. So this will be a pretty exciting one to see who comes out on top. I haven't covered Kruse in a while, but everyone should be probably pretty familiar with his style. And same thing with Llavador. So Kruse comes out with his typical super relaxed style, making things look very easy. Of course, that belies a very astute tactical and distance-focused game. Carlos here, able to escape, and with a fast parry 4 flick riposte, able to pick one up. Now, Kruse's march, it looks like he's going very slowly, but he actually covers quite a bit of ground on the strip when he does it, and Carlos was very good to be able to keep distance with him while running away. Kruse again pushes, and this time Carlos counterattacks. Kruse not quite able to find the target there. Maybe a little bit too relaxed with his arm to finish. Okay, Llavador pushes just a little bit. Kruse again bouncing on defense. This is classic him. Able to pull, and now starts. Llavador again runs away pretty fast, but keeps distance pretty well. Alright, now attacking Kruse is very difficult because, of course, his stop hit is an ever-present threat. That arm can just come out of nowhere, and if Llavador is even a little bit too withheld, there it is. To be fair, Llavador probably was in distance to hit there. I think he just missed. And that was kind of helped by the fact that Kruse was almost out of space at the end of the strip. So if Llavador can push him all the way back, that will help to mitigate that stop hit as an option for Kruse. And that seems to be what Carlos is trying to do right now. Oh, not really. As Kruse pushes back, Carlos escapes and parries. Okay, Kruse continues to give him plenty of space. Oh, Kruse tries to 4 flick that time, but just missed. And again, Carlos with a step in. That one felt a little bit more lucky for Carlos than anything. Kruse should have had that one if he'd hit straight. Carlos again pushes. And Kruse comes back. Carlos' point line setup is enough to make Kruse stop, and then he starts himself. Now, Carlos does actually have a very powerful lunge, but oh man. Kruse able to step in as Carlos stays in distance and tries to search. Okay. Oh, are they? They're announcing the people in the round as the fencing's already started. There's a counterattack by Kruse. Now he does this action quite a bit. Kind of wouldn't expect it right off the bat because he's a pretty tall guy and not really. You wouldn't imagine that he's very built for that type of counterattack, but his closeout in 8 is always pretty well timed, and especially against a lefty like Carlos, it is very effective. Kruse again continues to bounce forward. Carlos escapes and starts. Oh, wait, what happened there? Did he just get a random off target on the way in? Okay. Alright, Carlos continues to push. Kruse continues to give it plenty of space. Oh, okay. Looks like that parry 4 line is going to be the game for Kruse, but tries to counterattack and Carlos just finishes. Again, when Kruse is out of space like that, his stop hit does tend to get a little bit less effective because he does like to run away with it. So if Carlos pushes, he can finish relatively long and be relatively safe. Again, Kruse on the march. Gives it up, though. Kruse is having trouble finding ways to turn that march into just a straight-up finish. He does really prefer second intention here, honestly, but Carlos is just giving him so much space that it's not really able to set that up. Okay, Carlos pushing a little faster this time with the remise. Very nice. Looked like Kruse was still trying parry 4 riposte there. He hasn't really changed lines with that riposte yet, although he is definitely able to. But I think that predictability let Carlos slip in the remise there. So pulling out a bit of a lead now again. Again, Carlos pushes. Kruse is again almost out of space. Pushes back. That's nice acceleration by Kruse. Very nice. That's more of the type of finish that you'd expect from Kruse. I'm kind of surprised he didn't pull this out sooner, as Carlos was just barely escaping from him when he marched pretty fast. And like I said, Kruse is pretty tall, so even if he looks like he's moving pretty slow on the strip, he's actually eating up quite a bit of space with every step. However big and lanky they look. Alright, Carlos slows things down now a little bit. Again, Kruse galloping, and Carlos finds the parry, but can't quite find the riposte. Kruse's maybe remise, maybe counter riposte is off target in preem. British fencers do really like their preem after trying to finish to the outside. It is their most common transition. Carlos again pushes, finishes a little bit short, and Kruse gets away. Oh, okay. Kruse finds a random off target there at some point. Now, also, so Carlos has got pretty sharp footwork. We haven't really seen his super long finish yet, although he does prefer to finish short. And against Kruse's stop hit threat, that's probably not going to be super useful. So I think for Carlos, it's really going to be a case of either push him to the very end and then try to hit, or just don't try to hit with the attack at all. Very nice infighting, though. Carlos is quite good at that. And maintains his lead. 22 seconds left, so we might slow down a little bit. Maybe one more sincere phrase, maybe a few more. Carlos continues to push. Kruse just gives up space, and again with the counterattack. Yeah, so it seems like Carlos is having trouble really hitting if he doesn't have Kruse all the way at the back, as we saw there. Alright, Carlos keeps pushing. Kruse takes the blade and starts. Carlos keeps pushing, nice and slow. 10 seconds. I think they'll probably wait it out at this point. Oh no, Kruse might still look for a touch here. Carlos point in line, searching, and time's out. Okay. Pretty nice exchange so far. Seems like both fencers are kind of having some trouble attacking each other. Kruse had that one really nice acceleration into a cross step forward. But I feel like Carlos is going to be able to escape from that more often than not. He does have pretty sharp footwork himself. And Carlos has been having trouble hitting Kruse because Kruse is so good at stop hitting that Carlos can't really risk getting too close unless he knows that Kruse can't stop hit, which is only really able to guarantee that if he's at the end. So, in general, I think it's going to be mostly the counterattacks and the parry posts that decide this bout, not so much the attacks themselves. Although, of course, in order to hit with a counter-offense or a defensive action, you kind of have to have your opponent attack. So it may be a case of like how insincere of an attack can you get away with, and how far away can you stay while trying to attack and still bait out something from the opponent. One thing we haven't seen yet from Carlos really has been his counter time, which against Kruse could be very effective. Kruse does tend to be pretty out with the blade when he counterattacks, and he could potentially run right into Carlos's parry post for his counter time. Also may be a bit risky because if Carlos is searching and not really finishing in that moment, Kruse could probably hit with the stop hit as well very easily. So Carlos keeps pushing. Pretty much same old so far. Kruse marches. Carlos keeps distance. Parry. Oh, Kruse stays in distance trying to look for the remise. Felt like he left that a little bit too long hanging out there though, and Carlos just hits off target. That was a pretty delayed reaction by Kruse, honestly. Carlos keeps pushing. Kruse keeps giving him space. Challenges and starts. Carlos relays to run. Kruse again finishes with an attempted foreflick. He is really favoring that line. That's probably Carlos's all the way through, I'd imagine. I think the ref's going to check the video, though. We'll see. I didn't really feel like Carlos stopped there, and it didn't feel like Kruse really broke out of distance to try and attack and prep into that march. But we'll see. Yep, still the attack from the left. Good call by the ref. Alright, Carlos keeps pushing. Gives his attack up short now, and Kruse turns it around. Very nice. So it looks like, although Carlos has been able to escape from Kruse's march when he gets going pretty quick. That time Kruse just hits him immediately before Carlos realizes that he has to run away. And that, oh, something wrong with Carlos's mask cord. I can't tell what the referee was telling him. But yeah, that type of turnaround game is a little bit less commonly used by Kruse, but clearly very able to do it, especially if his march isn't getting to the target very well. Often a long attack can be the solution there, if your opponent stays still a little bit too long. But I feel like that might be an easy adjustment for Carlos. He could even adjust the distance even closer on that type of touch. Let's see. Kruse marches. Carlos stays... Oh, okay. Carlos tries a counterattack when he thinks Kruse has gotten going a little too fast. Kruse does tend to get quite a bit of momentum when he does that very gallopy sort of march. And he can be a little bit vulnerable to crushing counterattacks like that. Carlos tries it again. He did a couple of blade searches there right before the counterattack to try and set it up a little better and pull Kruse's blade out of alignment a little more, but Kruse still finds it off target. Very good point control by him to still find something there. Carlos gives his attack up and Kruse marches again. Will Carlos counterattack? Nope, parry post this time. Again, tries to finish. That short lunge by Carlos probably is not going to be able to catch Kruse. Ooh, interesting. That time, yeah, he does the Preem remise and just keeps the blade in Preem to close out. Very nice idea. Carlos has also been kind of favoring that parry 4 flick riposte, kind of like Kruse has. So lefty-righty inside line. If the inside line is being worked, Preem is often a really good choice. Couldn't really tell what the blades were doing there, but it's one line for Carlos. Okay. Carlos continues to push. Kruse continues to give him plenty of space. And now Kruse starts again. That time, Carlos just took Preem straight up. He didn't even take 4 first. Just Preem and then whip the blade over to the outside line to hit. Again, a pretty... Oh, wow. Kruse didn't even get a light there. That is disappointing. Although, Carlos still able to hit. He was going also pretty slow there and controlled, so... Counterattack maybe was a bit ambitious for Kruse. Although it has worked for him before, in kind of similar situations. Maybe he's just getting a little, kind of testing his limits. Oh, that was... Oh, someone's mass core dropped. So it sounded like that was after the halt. I heard the referee say halt before any lights turned on. And possibly before Kruse started his riposte. Okay. Yep, does seem to have been no touch. Carlos continues to march. Again, finishes a little bit longer that time. Kruse on the gallop. Carlos out of options on the back. Finds the riposte though. Very nice. Yep, again, Kruse's momentum kind of carried him a little closer to the target than I think he would have liked. And that means he stays in distance longer as he tries to run away, which makes Carlos' riposte a little bit easier to land. Carlos continues to push, finishes, still pretty short. Kruse takes the blade and starts. That's an interesting idea. He kind of starts with the blade way back and forth and just finishes sort of like Alex Macialis, honestly, with a little bit of angulation there at the end, although longer distance than Alex does. Again, Kruse marches. Oh, that nice line changes there, and finishes with a pretty clean disengage. So now Carlos has probably got to change things up. I'd imagine maybe counterattack earlier in Kruse's march. Or maybe just hit with the attack and don't give Kruse a chance to march. There it is, yep. Kruse again steps in for a pretty ambitious looking counterattack. I'm not really loving that action anymore from him. I think his stop hit is still better there. Alright, Carlos takes the blade. Starts. There's an attempted stop hit by Kruse, but Carlos is going a little too slow for it. Alright, Carlos back on the march. Taking the blade a lot. He might be worried about that stop hit again. Try to keep Kruse's blade out of alignment. Kruse gallops forward. Again, Carlos tries to counterattack, but you notice there Kruse is actually slowing down the finish of his attack right at the end there, right when the distance starts to collapse, which is also part of what's helping him find off targets there pretty consistently when Carlos tries to twist and counterattack. It is something that's actually pretty rarely seen. Normally the attack tends to accelerate. Kruse is one of the few fencers who actively decelerates it there, like that, towards the end. Oh, man. Carlos went very fast there, but he's still able to find the target. His blade was far enough in front that he was able to find it. And again, that counterattack by Kruse just isn't really cutting it. On the other hand, if Carlos is going that speed, probably stop hit won't be as effective because Kruse might actually have trouble getting away. Carlos still finding the blade all the time. Goes withheld. Man, Kruse able to stay on the strip. Carlos only found an off target there. Looks like his kind of broken time idea at the end hasn't been proving that effective. Oh, how do you call that one? It feels like... Oh, it goes to Carlos. Okay. I kind of felt that was the other way around, but sure. And now Carlos only needs one to hit. I haven't really been paying attention to the score until now, but yeah. Carlos has been able to pull a bit of a lead, and I feel like it's mostly been those counterattacks by Kruse that have been causing it, honestly. Alright, Carlos continues to push. What's Kruse going to do this time? Searches, tries another counterattack, but no. Carlos finds it. Very nice bout by him. Pretty nice fencing by Kruse, but I feel like that tactical decision to just stay with that like crushing or closing out counterattack just really isn't going to cut it against someone like Carlos. But thank you very much for watching. I've watched pretty much all of the other Bonn bouts, so I think I'll have to commentate something else next time. But until then, as always, stay sharp.